Добрий день.
Welcome, everybody joining us. We are holding the press conference at the Ukrinform Media Center. The heroic resistance of the Ukrainian population is into its 170th day. Today we are talking about the situation in Donetsk region. The speaker today is Pavlo Kyrylenko, the head of the Donetsk Regional Military Administration. Welcome. Let us begin with how the last 24 hours, what was going on in the region. The latest 24 hours have been very tense. The shellings were happening all along the front line in the Avdiivka region and vicinity of other settlements, including the area of Kramatorsk, where the enemy was trying to break through. In the Kramatorsk and Kurakhov settlements, there were artillery shelling and the shellings from the MLRSs. In the Bakhmut area, the same kind of shellings took place. Sir, will you inform us about the situation with the critical infrastructure in the region? I think I hear both Ukrainian and the English. As for the critical infrastructure and the damages, the infrastructure is being damaged in the region along all the areas of the front line. They are engaged in the so-called scorched land tactics. That's why the civilian infrastructure is being shelled and damaged. We have seen a lot of ruins and ruined infrastructure in the Kramatorsk area, in the Kurakhov area. And what we see is effectively shellings of a lot of areas, and even the relatively distant settlements are not safe. Of course, in the Slavyansk-Konstantinivka settlements, they have been under constant fire. This fire is targeted against the civilian infrastructure and military facilities. That is why the military administrations have to deal with these challenges on a daily basis. We are aware of the beginning of the mandatory evacuation in the Donetsk region. How is it going on? How many people have you been able to get evacuated, and what are your plans here? Since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, we have now 350,000 people remaining in the area, in this region. Some of the people are not able to leave, but there is a special decree on the mandatory evacuation. This evacuation has been distributed amongst different regions, and we know the places where these people are supposed to go. More than 4,000 residents have been evacuated to the Kropivnitsky city, and other cities are also receiving people that are evacuated from the Donetsk region. This has been guided by the regional military authorities, and we think that this is the high priority issue for us. Sir, when we talk about the humanitarian general situation in the region, what's going on, the medical services and medical facilities, are they operational? Do they have foods available in the stores? We have information from the open sources to the effect that some medical facilities, for example, in Konstantinivka settlement, they will have to be evacuated. What can you tell us about that? The facilities of the critical infrastructure are operational in the area. Our challenge is to help people evacuate from these unsafe areas, and of course protection of the facilities of the critical infrastructure is also high on the agenda. Of course, the availability of the bank services is restricted, and where we can, we are helping people with all the possible services that we can, including the medical facilities. Of course, we are helping the wounded military personnel in those areas. And the same goes for the local civilians that are still staying in those territories. That is to say that the critical facilities are under danger, but they are operational, and foods are being delivered, as well as other services for those people remaining in the territory of the oblast. As for the ruins that the Donetsk region has sustained, how many casualties and wounded civilians do you have now? Our assessment of the damage to the civilian infrastructure is volatile. We know what is going on here, and we try to respond. The facilities of health protection, about 30% of those have been either damaged or ruined altogether. This information has been made available to the presidential office, and I can tell you that in general the pace of damaging of civilian infrastructure is very intense. As for the assessment and specific data, I think I've got some information here at hand. The ruined infrastructure facilities in our region are as follows. After Kiev Oblast, I think our region, in terms of the number of ruined facilities, we are second in terms of the facilities damaged or ruined altogether. Questions from the floor, please. Tkachuk Svetlana from Ukrinform. Will you tell us whether those people who refuse to get evacuated, whether they have to sign some papers, and if so, how many people are there? Let me clarify that yesterday we had Ms. Vereshchuk at the press conference saying something to the effect that once people refuse to get evacuated, the authorities will demand that these people sign the document that they are aware of the upcoming risks and that they take the full responsibility on themselves. How many of those people that have refused to get evacuated are there? Honestly, what I hear is the English language interpreter rather than the original sound. Next question. Those people who are staying for the cold period, whether they will be granted with different kinds of generators for their homes to be heated. Have you heard the question? What I hear is interpretation. The question was whether people who are staying in the territory will be provided with converters, heaters. Do you have such a possibility, and which facilities will be provided with the generators? Let me clarify this point according to the types of facilities. As for the region in the area of Volnovakha and Mariupol, what we are talking about is that in percentage, 40% of the facilities have been completely ruined. And all those facilities will be made available with all the things that you mentioned after the total deoccupation of the territory. How many people will we be able to provide with the heaters and different means of heating during the cold season? I can give you my personal take. The number that we can take care of today is 235,000 people who are staying in the territory now, and we plan for the capabilities to provide certain services in the cold period, and also in terms of electricity. We want to have a stable electricity supply, including the houses and high-rise buildings if they're still there. Do you have more questions? The last one. Is there available coal for the winter period for the heating of private sector, and whether they are coal mines that are still developing the coal? In the territory of Donetsk region, are there mines that are still operational, and do you have enough available coal for the local population to get their households heated? From what I could understand, what the coal facilities are working in the territory of the oblast. Yes, coal mines are working, including the settlement of Pokrovsk. There are coal mines that are still working in this settlement of Kuraki. We have also some mines operational, and they will be able to supply energy, and also they are still producing some coal output. We want to provide our miners with some kind of work to secure their working conditions. That is to say that some activities are still taking place. Thank you, sir, for joining us. We have been briefed by Mr. Pavlo Kyrylenko, the head of the Donetsk Regional Military Administration. Thank you, and we believe in the Ukrainian Armed Forces will do everything it takes